Hello everyone, I am Surrendot the Awesome, and I'm back, and I'm ready to look at some Generation 1 Transformers, or at least the first 3 episodes in this probably gonna be very long series. But before I get started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if I can't convince you, perhaps this picture of my cat will convince you. And, random fact about my cat society is that the Air Force there is just people hopping up and down, just hoping that they can fly. Without further ado, let's get into this. So the first episode is More Than Meets the Eye Part 1. And before I get into the rest of the series, I must mention just how great the intro theme for Season 1 is, which is... Anyways, so the episode starts out in space. What? I can't use that reference? Anyways, where this wonderful narrator here kindly explains to us basically what's going on so far in the story.
Many millions of years ago, on the planet Cybertron, life existed, but not life as we know it today. Intelligent robots that could think and feel inhabited the cities. They were called Autobots and Decepticons. But the brutal Decepticons were driven by a single goal: total domination. They set out to destroy the peace-loving Autobots, and a war between the forces of good and evil raged across Cybertron.
Boy, for Cybertron being at war, it sure looks in pristine condition.
The Autobots, on the verge of extinction, battled valiantly to survive.
Anyways, so we get introduced to Wheeljack and Bumblebee here as they try to get these energy conductors back to Iacon, and then they run into a Decepticon patrol. And I will admit that there is a lot, and I mean a lot of animation errors, kinda coming up actually throughout the series.
Autobots, stop them!
Anyways, so Bumblebee and Wheeljack, well, mainly Bumblebee, try to fight off these Seekers, and for some reason, a lot of the Seekers, especially the show, just really like to change colors whenever. Like, these guys here, for some reason there's a yellow guy and a purplish guy, and then they just put a flame ring around Bumblebee and Wheeljack, and Wheeljack does something that I really don't think should be able to be done to, you know, get through a ring of fire like that. Anyways, so after the Seekers change again, they try to go after Bumblebee and Wheeljack, and I can see why they haven't exactly ended the war, because they can't hit anything, unless the plot requires them to do so, like that part where they hit Bumblebee. And even then, they didn't really do any lasting damage aside from just slightly wound him. Jeez. How do the Decepticons plan to win if they can't even hit their target? Anyways, so Wheeljack and Bumblebee escape because the Decepticons can't hit anything, and the Seekers just decide to go somewhere else.
They've gone underground. We'll never catch them now! We better report back to Megatron.
Anyways, so Wheeljack and Bumblebee make it back to Iacon, and how long has Soundwave just been standing there, waiting for the right opportunity to let Laserbeak out to spy on there? Anyways, so Soundwave is a really cool character in this show. He is a great spy, he can turn into like a cassette, and can quite literally infiltrate almost anything. Believe me, I'll get into that way later. And also, he has a really cool voice.
Laserbeak, Autobot alert.
Which I love. And also, his minions are really cool. Like Laserbeak, for example, who later on turns into kind of like this condor kind of thing. And he's probably like the most competent Decepticon that they have, and he can infiltrate almost any place, well, kind of like Soundwave, And also he turns into a cassette tape, and don't worry, I will get into the other cassette tapes later. And I will also get the other characters that I haven't mentioned, like Wheeljack and Bumblebee. Anyways, so we get to the part where the Decepticons find out that the Autobots are ready to leave, and the Decepticons are also ready to leave. So they both leave, and Megatron leaves Shockwave in charge of Cybertron, and we get to the next part where the Decepticons board the Ark.
If there's a new source of energy to be found, the Decepticons must find it first. Autobots are set to launch Megatron. As are we. Shockwave!
What is your command, Megatron?
You are to stay behind. I entrust Cybertron to you, Shockwave.
Fear not, Megatron. Cybertron shall remain as you leave it.
Excellent! Now it's merely a matter of time until Optimus Prime admits defeat.
The Autobots would have lost eons ago if I'd been calling the shots.
Starscream, only a select few ever leave.
My time will come, Megatron.
Never! Prepare to
Anyways, we get to this error here.
They're coming aboard!
Prepare for battle! Attack! Attack!
And so the Autobots and Decepticons fight on board of the Ark, and the Ark and the Nemesis crash into Earth, which I'm sure won't be an important plot point of Season 2 or even the final part of Beast Wars. I mean, that would be crazy if it was. Anyways, so the Transformers end up taking a 4 million year long nap before they're all of a sudden awoken by Teletran 1.
X4! X4! Repair! Repair! Megatron, my leader, we are alive again.
And he, of course, picks Skywarp to revive first, who basically Skywarp is really loyal, really dumb, and can teleport, which he only does like 3 times throughout the entire series. And Skywarp first revives Megatron, and then they revive the rest of the Decepticons, and then they leave without destroying Teletran 1, you know, the one thing that reactivated them that could also, you know, reactivate the Autobots. Which kind of makes me wonder, what was Megatron thinking at that point? Well, was it something like this here? Alright, troops, now that we are reactivated, we are going to all go outside and go scout the area. Excuse me, Tyrannical Overlord? Yeah, you? Yeah, don't you think it'd be a good idea to maybe, like, destroy the one thing that brought us back to life? Ah, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, it's not like the Autobots are just gonna be reactivated by the very same thing that we have been reactivated by. I mean, that would be crazy to think, wouldn't it? Anyways, so after getting out of the Ark, Megatron states the obvious.
Much time has passed. We are on a planet far from Cybertron, but our mission has not changed.
Anyways, so Starscream, by some actual act of God, manages to reactivate the Autobots accidentally by shooting his null ray, which, you know, I guess there was no way to prevent that, like, you know, destroying the thing that could probably bring them back to life. Anyways, so this is Optimus Prime, and I will say this Optimus Prime is probably one of, if not the best renditions of Optimus Prime. He is a caring and good leader, and he's also caring about all life, to a fault. But I mean that in a good way, because it shows that he has flaws as a leader, and even the Decepticons are willing to exploit that. And he's also a very, very good opposite to Megatron, who basically wants to destroy all life and enslave all life, but Optimus Prime wants to do the opposite. And Optimus Prime kind of will not allow his troops to fire if there are people around, despite the fact that the tactical situation might be disadvantageous, which I like how they made Optimus Prime kind of a good leader to a fault. Anyways, on the flip side, this is Megatron. He is the leader of the Decepticons, and he is a great opposite to Optimus Prime. He is cruel, merciless, and doesn't care about anyone except for himself, and is even willing to kill innocent life forms, which I think makes him a really great villain in this series, and probably one of the best Megatrons. Anyways, so the Decepticons decide to set up their base in a location between two rocks, and the Autobots more or less try to find the Decepticons. So Optimus Prime sends Hound and Cliffjumper to find them. So between Hound and Cliffjumper, I'm only going to mention Hound because he's really the only one that's important throughout this three-parter, but Hound is basically the scout who can turn into an army jeep, and he's basically our main Autobot character throughout the More Than Meets the Eye 3-parter. He was actually originally, I guess, supposed to be the main human friend character, but that was changed to Bumblebee. So anyways, Hound can create holograms, and Hound also is actually really cool. And I also do like the scene where he is driving in the desert. That is actually kind of touching, especially with Spike.
Sure is pretty out here, Spike. Earth must be a nice place to live. It's okay, but tell me about Cybertron. Before the war with the Decepticons, it was quiet and peaceful. You miss it? Sometimes. All time.
And how he admires Earth's landscape, and also how Hound kind of wishes he was secretly a human himself, which I actually think is pretty funny. Anyways, so this scene here best introduces Starscream, which I'll just let the scene play out for you.
Someday I'll be giving the orders, Rumble. You'll do what I say.
Look, Starscream, Megatron is strong. He's merciless. He can't be beaten. And you'll never be our leader.
I will find a way. Everyone has a weakness.
Yeah? Well, not Megatron.
We shall see.
So, this is Starscream. Starscream is a traitorous, power-hungry Decepticon whose only dream in life is to usurp Megatron, and he is a really cool character who often tries to usurp Megatron, and actually that plan tends to destroy whatever Decepticon plan happens. And when Megatron inevitably beats Starscream up or puts Starscream in his place, Starscream immediately goes back to being just a suck-up, which I think just shows how much of a coward Starscream is. Which makes part of me actually believe that he probably is in fact an Autobot in disguise, or maybe is working with the Autobots, but that's just me personally. Anyways, so Hound and Cliffjumper find the Decepticons, and Cliffjumper does something incredibly stupid.
Cliffjumper, what are you doing?
I've got Megatron dead center in my viewfinder.
Anyways, due to Cliffjumper's recklessness, the Decepticons now know that the Autobots are alive, and Megatron might want to punish Starscream for the fact that the Decepticons basically are the reason why the Autobots are still alive. Anyways, so Laserbeak gives chase to Hound and Cliffjumper, and Hound gets injured because of that. But Hound gets pulled up from the ravine he's in, and the Autobots assemble a strike force to go after the Decepticons, which, more or less, you get to hear a lot of the names of the Autobots here.
Pow! Tailbreaker! Wheeljack! Ironhide, Mirage, Sunstreaker! Sideswipe! Autobots, start your engines! Ready, Prime.
Let's roll.
Anyways, so the Decepticons decide to attack this oil rig, which makes me wonder, why didn't they decide to, I don't know, like, talk to the people there to convince them or deceive them to make the energy? I mean, there could have been something like this here. Hey, listen guys, can you guys just please stop throwing things at me? Seriously, if you guys just help a brother out, I'll happily be on my way. I just need some fuel to power up my ship, so I promise I won't be back. Anyways, so the Decepticons steal a bunch of Energon and convert them into Energon cubes, and then the Autobots come by to stop them.
It's the Autobots!
Thank you, Starscream. I definitely need you to tell me that. Anyways, so the Autobots and Decepticons fight, and for this part here specifically, I think they probably should have sped it up to probably be something more like this here. Anyways, so Ironhide also makes sure to fight Starscream with more or less bow staffs, and the Decepticons, realizing that they got the Energon cubes that they needed, and that the Autobots were there, probably to destroy the Energon cubes, just to destroy the oil rig instead. And overall, I will say that the first episode does a great job at being, well, a first episode. Despite the fact it's a three-parter, you can pretty well get basically a feel for what's going on, and it does a great job at introducing the important characters like Starscream, Megatron, Optimus Prime. And yeah, I will say that the next episode is also really great. Anyways, so the second episode starts right where we left off, with the Autobots and the humans being trapped underneath a bunch of burning oil and a destroyed oil rig. And the Autobots save the humans, which I think actually does show a great contrast between the Decepticons and the Autobots. Whereas the Decepticons don't really care much for any life, the Autobots will actually go out of their way to help the humans. And we also get introduced to our two first human characters, Spike and Sparkplug Wiki, which I will say, by comparison to other human characters, these ones are actually really good. Like, they actually help the Autobots and don't actively get in the Autobots' way as much as other human characters do. And they also appear enough to actually make me, want to care about them. Anyways, after Spike accidentally leads Soundwave into the base to get some information, he gets introduced to some of the Autobots in this scene here, which I think does a pretty okay job at introducing some of the characters and some of their abilities.
Spike here wants to know how we transform, Hound.
Easy, like this. Incredible. Now watch this. Who's he?
Nobody. He doesn't really exist, Spike. It's a hologram.
What other tricks can you do?
Try this one, Spike. Now you see me. Now you don't.
Hey, where'd Mirage go?
Over here!
Disappearing. That's the best disguise of all. Hop in, Spike. I'm gonna take you for the ride of your life. Belt up and hang on.
Anyways, so Soundwave gets ravaged to more or less get data from Teletran 1, and Spike finds out, and Ravage gets captured by the Autobots, but Soundwave escapes, and more or less tells Megatron exactly some sources of Energon, like, for example, Sherman Dam.
Sherman Dam is the largest in the Western Hemisphere. The hydroelectric power plant has a capacity of 1,750,000 kilowatts.
I hate to burst your bubble there, Soundwave, but I'm pretty sure it's like Orville Dam or like Hoover Dam or something like that. I'm pretty sure there are like a bunch of dams that are probably bigger than Sherman Dam. At least that's from like a bit of the research I did. So this is Ravage. He is basically a battle kitty, or a mechanical battle kitty, that is about the size of a panther and is often used with tackling humans, which I like that the show gives our human characters something that they can possibly go on equal footing against, like Rumble and Ravage. And also, Ravage is often used more or less as a spy to help the Decepticons. Anyways, so after Soundwave's possible factual inaccuracies, the Decepticons go to Sherman Dam to create a massive tidal wave with Rumble here, who is a really cool character who basically can, well, get stuff to rumble. And anyways, they basically create a massive tidal wave to create a bunch of energy to create energon cubes.
Leader of the Decepticons! You will do exactly as I say!
Okay, as funny as Megatron coming in like the Kool-Aid Man here was, I don't really know if maybe shooting in the air was really that effective. You should probably be thankful that the roof and the ceiling were not really that thick, otherwise then it probably would have ended up like this scene here. Oh shit. Anyways, so after Megatron more likely brings a whole new meaning to bringing the house down, the Autobots come to Sherman Dam and, well, Hound tries to fight Rumble, and Ironhide and Bumblebee try to stop the water from reaching that town. Yeah, no, that would not actually work in real life. At best, you'd practically only stop it for a little while, but all that water would practically fill up, and I think eventually the, dam might be looking a little like this here, after a while at least. Anyways, so the Autobots go to Sherman Dam to try to stop the Decepticons and defeat two Starscreams, and also basically proves another point where Starscream might be working with the Autobots, which is where he basically uses an energon cube as a slingshot here.
So long, Autobots. Here's one Starscream's been saving for you.
You fool, Starscream! Help save the Energon Cubes! Get them out of here!
Anyways, so Optimus Prime and Megatron fight, and I think this is like the only time that Optimus uses the axe and Megatron uses the mace in the entire series. And also, I'll even say, I even like the childish insults that they throw, especially Optimus Prime.
You destroy everything you touch, Megatron!
Because everything I touch is food for my hunger! My hunger for power!
No! I'm going to end your hunger once and for all.
Almost tried, but almost doesn't get the job done. You can't stop me!
You're old, Megatron. Yesterday's model, ready for the scrap heap.
We'll see who's ready for the scrap heap.
Junk! That's what you are. Junk!
Silence! When I'm through with you, Prime, there won't be enough pizzas to sweep up.
And I will also admit that I like this part where Megatron and Optimus Prime just kind of poke at each other like they're action figures. I think that that's funny. Anyways, so Hound gets defeated by Rumble, and Spike calls out trying to find Pound, despite the fact that he's in water. Rumble comes out and pushes Spike to the side, basically distracting Optimus Prime, and Spike goes in to save Hound. And it cuts to this scene, which, in all honesty, taken out of context, is kinda, yeah, gets taken out of context a lot. Anyways, so Optimus Prime gives a speech which I'm just gonna let you have a listen to.
Maybe we should repair our ship and go back to Cybertron. Forget about the Decepticons.
We can't do that, Mirage. If Megatron succeeds here, he'll be impossible to beat on Cybertron.
But we're not fighters like they are, Prime.
We must have courage, Huffer. We can't ignore the danger. We must conquer it.
Anyways, so the Decepticons go all over the world and basically steal Energon, and then Starscream does something kinda stupid, but after this scene that I'm gonna show you.
Space cruiser nearly complete. And the Energon cubes? 3,000 astrolators more required. We need one more source of energy, Soundwave. The ruby crystals up further. Right. They're the richest source of energy on the face of the Earth. I can almost see those ruby crystals now. What was that? Starscream! What in the universe are you doing?
Testing the Energon cubes. They work!
Of course they work.
You didn't know. You never tested them. I proved it.
You only proved your defective mentality. Now we need 2 strikes before we'll have enough energy to return to Cybertron.
What's the difference? There's plenty here for us.
The difference is time, you fool. You set us back.
Which makes me kinda wonder, one, how much Energon did Starscream use? 2, how much Energon does the Star Cruiser use? What, does it need like every last little Energon cube? And 3, this kinda also maybe puts more points into maybe my theory that Starscream might be secretly working for the Autobots. So Spike and Sparkplug and Trailbreaker catch on to the Decepticons' plan, and I feel like I really need to address something here. And the thing I'm going to bring up is that I feel like the show has too many characters. And what I mean by that is there are quite literally 24 Autobots and 21 Decepticons in the first season alone. And I'm not saying that the characters we have been introduced to are bad, they're done really well, but for every Megatron or Optimus Prime or Starscream or Jazz, we've got like Prowl and Skywalker. And what I mean is more like a thing of Prowl is quite literally just a background character who I can only tell you what he looks like, and I can't really tell you anything else other than that. And for Skywalker, he's so underutilized despite the fact he has such a unique ability, and also how him being incredibly dumb basically makes him hopeless without Megatron, but they kind of just make him more like a goon rather than, you know, something that Megatron actually would use. Anyways, so the Autobots go to where the Decepticons are in the Burma mines, and overall, I would say that the second episode is a great episode, and definitely better than the first one. And we also got to actually get introduced to our human characters, and they actually got to do stuff that, you know, makes me actually want to care about them, unlike other human characters in Transformers. Anyways, so the third episode starts off with Optimus Prime rolling from a mountain, and the Autobots try to get him up, and when he is trying to transform again, he sounds more like he's trying to get out of bed, or like he just woke up and he's trying to get out of bed.
Prime, can you transform?
I'll try. I don't know if I can do it. I've almost got it.
Come on, Prime, you can do it. Try harder.
You got it? You got it!
Come on!
Anyways, so the Autobots dig Sparkplug and Bumblebee out from the rubble, and then the Decepticons escape, which makes me think, why wouldn't they try a different plan? Like, I don't know, something like this here. Oh hey, look, I found the Decepticons down here. Well, I guess I can just take this grenade and... Boy, the Autobots are sure not gonna find me down in these caves while I'm mining these crystals. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Anyways, so Ironhide and Bluestreak go to chase the Decepticons in the air, despite Optimus Prime quietly telling Ironhide to not do that. And this is one of those scenes that I think could have probably been done a bit differently. And what I mean by that is, which of these two scenes would you rather watch? Would you rather watch this scene as it is?
It's like fighting a shadow!
Or would you rather watch this scene, which I sped up slightly to, you know, make it take up less of your time? Anyways, so Ironhide gets shot down by Skywarp, and Bluestreak dives down to save Ironhide, and Optimus Prime does give some really good words of wisdom to Ironhide.
I can't move. At least you can still talk, old buddy. You gave us all a pretty good scare.
It's been worse. I remember the time on Cybertron.
Save the war stories, hotshot. Just remember, there's a thin line between being a hero and being a memory.
Anyways, so Hound and Mirage talk, and Mirage gives Hound a very good idea.
Hound, when we get back to Cybertron, will you make me a big house with a 4-car garage? Holograms look so real, nobody'll know the difference.
Mirage, you just gave me a great idea.
A hologram?
That's right, Prime, but I mean a big one.
What did you have in mind?
A gigantic illusion that'll trick the Decepticons into coming to us on our terms.
It might just work.
What's the hologram of?
I've got an idea.
Anyways, so Hound and Mirage announce the location of the base, and Ravage escapes with his long arm thingy.
It's Ravage!
He's getting away!
After him!
So Ravage escapes, and this was actually all part of Optimus Prime's plan. And, well, Starscream tries to overthrow Megatron again.
Right on schedule, aren't we?
No thanks to you, Starscream.
I've made my contribution.
You've also made clear your desire to replace me as leader of the Decepticons. Mistake number 1.
It's time for a change, Megatron. It's time for action, not words. I am the leader of the future.
You couldn't lead androids to a picnic. How can you pretend to lead the Decepticons? Megatron!
It's empty!
You failed to dispose of me when you had the chance, Starscream. Mistake number 2. Now it's my turn.
Please, don't fire! I was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. Please, don't shoot! Megatron! Megatron!
We attack the rocket base at sunrise.
Anyways, so the Autobots think that they have fooled Megatron, but in reality, Megatron really has the Autobots fooled.
Springs! Junk!
We've been had.
That's right, Prime. I was onto your little scheme from the start. Did you really think you could fool me by allowing Ravage to escape? Did you?
Go on, Megatron. You're in the driver's seat.
While you and the other Autobots have been fighting a bunch of loose screws, the real Decepticons have been at the real rocket site. You've lost, Prime.
Which, I think this is really clever. It shows that Optimus Prime is really just a beginner when it comes to the art of deception, whereas Megatron practically is just the deception maestro. Anyways, so the Decepticons attack the real rocket base, and Optimus Prime gives this speech basically saying it's now or never, which I really like this speech.
We have come to a moment of truth. The Decepticons are in position to return to Cybertron. We have no choice but to attack them directly. But this battle will be most dangerous, so I ask for volunteers. Jazz?
Volunteers, step forward! Autobots, transform! Start your engines! Ready, Prime!
Let's roll!
Anyways, so the Autobots and Decepticons fight, and I will say that this is actually a pretty good fight, despite it being surprisingly short. And the Decepticons board the ship, and hell, Hound even gets some payback from Sherbet Dam on Rumble.
I owe you one from Sherman Dam, Rumble!
You couldn't swim! What makes you think you can fight?
Watch me!
So, Optimus Prime tries to chase after the Decepticons, but gets shot down. Starscream tries to overthrow Megatron, and then Mirage just destroys the ship from the inside, which I guess is something that kind of proves that Starscream may be in cahoots with the Autobots, but anyways.
At last, total victory is within my grasp.
Not yours, Megatron! Mine!
I see that you have learned nothing, Starscream.
Wrong! I've learned a great deal. I won't miss this time.
Beware, Starscream. If you dispose of me, there will always be someone waiting to dispose of you.
Let them try. I've waited for this moment a long time, Megatron. And my time is now.
Extinction to all traitors!
Anyways, so Mirage parachutes down, and the Decepticon ship crashes, and Spike says something that I really question for some reason.
Because the Autobots stopped the Decepticons from stealing Earth's resources, the governments of the world have agreed to give Optimus Prime the energy he needs to revitalize Cybertron. It's probably the first time all the governments ever agreed on anything.
Yeah, this is probably a really bad time for me to mention that the show was released when the Soviet Union was still around, and, you know, the Soviet-Afghan War, and, you know, every country kinda still being at odds with each other for one reason or another. Yeah, I think that is probably some wishful thinking there, Spike. And also, I will give the show credit for this. I do like the idea of, you know, the humans being aware of the Autobots and Decepticons, so, you know, I'm not expected to suspend my disbelief and believe that, you know, there's a secret war going on that none of us know about, which I like. But wait, there's more. Anyways, so the Autobots ultimately don't return to Cybertron throughout the series, except for when they, you know, have to actually go there. And overall, I will say that this three-parter is actually really great and does a great job at introducing us to the series, and I would highly recommend you watch it, and I'll link in the description below if you would like to watch it. And I think with that, that's gonna do it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.